Hey guys, Jim here. Time to share with you a really badass knife. This is a definite gem in my collection. Something I just picked up a couple of weeks ago. I haven't really had much time to sit down and make a video on it, unfortunately, but those of you that have seen me post a lot of pictures of it on Instagram, I've gotten a lot of requests. When are you going to make the video? So now I'm finally going to sit down and do that. This is a Les Voorhies Model 15, and I actually bought this from another collector, a fellow Instagrammer. He goes by the handle Steel of Art, and ever since I saw him post pictures, I drooled over this combination. And he'd only had it for maybe a month. It was just freshly built back in March. It was a knife that Les put up as a lottery knife in his Facebook group, or on his Facebook page. Excuse me. And he was lucky enough to be the guy that got it. And he says, you know what, it's just too pretty for me. I'm really afraid of ruining such a beautiful knife by carrying it. And you guys know me, I don't give a shit. I don't care how pretty a knife is, it's going to get carried. And if the need arises, it will get used to cut something. So he and I struck a deal, and we both ended up very, very happy out of it. I think that this is probably one of the most stunning, visually stunning knives I've ever owned. It's almost an art knife with the way that this has been made. Let me show you first the packaging before we get into the knife. This is the plain white box. He sends it in. There's his business card, so you can contact him there at voorhiesknives.com. His email, lesvoor@msn.com. There is his phone number and the address. And it sucks because I just moved away from Minnesota about 3 years ago, and if I would have realized that Les was in Minnesota, I certainly would have tried to find a way to come out and meet him. This is the packaging you get. You will receive kind of a birth date card, shows that it was made March 4th, 2014. That 4-inch blade you're about to see is CTS XHP, which is a phenomenal steel. Going to hold an edge very well, and that's just the same card that you saw on the lid of the box. Then he gives you a cool microfiber bag, which is a great way to protect it, and with the materials being used, it's probably going to come in pretty handy. It's kind of like the Oakley sunglasses bag, basically. So it's nice and soft. You can put the knife in there if you want to, and obviously use it to wipe it down. Because what you're seeing here, the blued areas, rich royal blue in the titanium anodizing. This is a color of blue I've tried to achieve through a few different knife makers. It doesn't seem to be very easy to do because not many people achieve that rich royal blue. And these black scales that you're seeing, these overlays are actually all zirconium. So yeah, the knife has a lot of weight to it because those are very, very thick overlays of zirconium. I'm on a zirconium kick right now. I've got a few zirconium knives. I've got another one that's being made, which we do believe will be the very first, or is already the very first, fully functioning, no issues, full Zirc frame lock. You're not really supposed to use Zirc in the construction of a knife, more of a decoration. But Jeff Vandermeulen is building me a barely legal frame lock that's full, complete, everything Zirc. So that's going to be interesting. He's still testing it, so I don't have it yet because he wants to make sure that that Zirc is not going to fail. We did a couple of things. We talked back and forth about how to make it where the lock bar isn't moving quite as much. So, you know, the experimentation seems to be going just fine. But yeah, I'm kind of on a Zirc kick. So when I saw this and he and I kind of came to an agreement, I was so excited to get it. There is a downside to it, though. As beautiful as this knife is, and that's the only reason I haven't flipped it and sold it yet. I've considered selling it a lot since I got it a few weeks ago, but I just can't because it's so friggin' beautiful. I know I'm going to miss it. It's because this material, when it's done in this satin finish, is so slick and slippery that every time I pick it up, I damn near drop it. And that is not an exaggeration. It is that slippery. Now, that is not a reflection on the maker. It's a reflection on how smooth this material is. The action is incredible. It's got a very, very strong detent on it. Very smooth. When I first got it, it had some of the worst lock stick that I had ever experienced. I was able to do a couple of things and get around that, so now the lock does not stick at all. Give you a nice look at the lock up there. And it disengages just fine now, so no issues whatsoever. There is the centering. It fires like a freaking rocket. And that's a big 4-inch blade, by the way. One of the things I love about it, and some people have looked at it and gone, oh, I like the knife, but I'm not crazy about the blade shape. It is really wild. It is really different because it goes off onto this very, very steep angle where this swedge is, and the swedge really accentuates that. But I dig that because it's not like any other blade profile in my collection. And I try not to be redundant as I'm going through and buying new knives. Well, one of the things I love the most, though, is that tip. Look at that front end grind. That is sexy as shit. Like that look a lot. He did create a wonderfully sharp knife. And that's exactly what you'd expect from him. You know, Les has been doing this now as of this year, 20 years. He made his first knife in 1994. And he was just a part-time maker for a long-ass time. Then he got basically laid off from his job. I think he was an airplane mechanic, if I'm not mistaken. And he just decided, well, screw it. Maybe that's the incentive I've needed all this time to go off and become a full-time knife maker. And of course, he's been tremendously successful. Les has become more or less a legend in the industry. He makes phenomenal quality knives, unique designs, and from what I understand, he's one hell of a nice guy. I've had zero contact with him in any respect, but I do certainly hope to meet him and shake his hand at the Blade Show this year and thank him for creating such an amazingly beautiful knife. Let's get down to getting a nice close look at it. First off, you're going to have a custom anodized titanium pivot. I think that's a Steve Kelly pivot if I'm not mistaken. He has blued titanium hardware holding the overlays in place. I love the back spacer. It's a protruding back spacer that gives you the lanyard loop. This is a lanyard done by Les. This bead was turned by him, anodized by him, made specifically for this knife. I'm not crazy about the leather that's being used here. I think this is probably going to tear on me soon. So when it does, I'll just put a regular lanyard on here and reuse the bead. It does feel rather fragile. It may not be. It could just be how it feels, but it feels rather fragile to me. But I love that back spacer. It's a minimalistic back spacer. It's not taking up a half or 3/4 of the knife, so I've still got a very clean pass-through design to keep everything clean in there. I can just simply blow out the gunk or pocket lint or dirt, sand, whatever gets in there. Definitely going to be a bearing pivot system. I haven't really looked in there. I guess I probably could. You're not really going to see it. But the way this thing opens and closes, there's no way that that's washers. You can make a damn smooth flipper on washers. That's certainly been proven. But this definitely has the feel. You can actually feel the bearings rolling on against the XHP steel. Man, this thing just fires like a freaking rocket. Love how that feels. The ergos in the hand are actually really good for such a big knife. No detectable hot spots, not even from that big protruding clip. It just feels good all the way around. Flipper tab is large enough to be a nice finger guard. He's got a nice relief cut here for the choil. It just feels really good. Like I said, the only complaint that I have is how slick the material is. Other than that, I mean, this is just, what a beautiful, beautiful knife. It's obviously got that tactical style to it, but I look at it as almost an art knife because of the way that he shaped the overlays. He didn't follow the exact same shape as the titanium handles. So by cutting it away here and cutting it away here, it allows you to see that rich, beautiful blue titanium coming through. So from any angle, no matter where you view this knife from, you're always going to see the blue of the titanium. And blue is certainly my favorite color. And when it comes to anodizing a knife, I really love blues and purples. And I think this just, it's a stunner. And the feel of the heft of the knife in the hand is incredible with that zirconium in there. The great thing about zirconium is once you've properly handled it, you've heated it up, you brought out the black color, it's going to create an oxidized layer over it. The internal, the core of that material is actually very soft and pliable. So it's all about that oxidized layer on top. Once you've done that, you've created a material that is tremendously more scratch resistant than titanium could ever hope to be. So it actually provides a great material to use for presentation. Now I've got a knife that I can pocket every single day, and I'm not going to start getting those minor surface marks all over it. I mean, that's fantastic. You gotta love that because now you're buying into longevity. You're buying into a knife that has the possibility of looking newer, longer than your others in your collection. Zirc is not always going to be practical. It's more expensive of a material. It is going to be much more difficult to work with. A lot of makers still won't work with it because of the dangers of how hot it is when it's being ground. The sparks fly forever, they stay lit forever, and they do cause fires. I've actually seen a couple of knife makers on Instagram in the past couple of weeks show little pictures of little areas of their shop on fire because of working with zirconium. I think the only negative I have on this knife is the clip. While it does function fine, you guys know I'm not a big fan of spring clips, especially on a knife this beautiful. And usually I let that go if it works well, but the problem is it wants to move back and forth a lot because it is so long and it's such a thin piece of titanium that it doesn't have a lot of lateral support. So even when you're just kind of holding it, you know, you hear that? Yeah, that's not fun. So what I'm probably going to do is have a clip made for it and put on there. I don't like to take away from an original maker's work, so I'm going to contact Les first and say, hey, would you mind if I pay you to make a different style clip for it? If for some reason that's something he doesn't want to do or he's too busy to do it, you know, I'll go to somebody like Ironwood Fanatic and maybe have a white Timascus torched up in blue to match the titanium and put that on there as a sculpted 3D clip, just to give it a little bit more, you know, a little better support. Plus, it'll dress it up pretty nicely, I think, too. But I think the theme that he did here, you know, a lot of people would say, well, put a zirconium clip on it. Well, you're putting Zirc over Zirc, and it's just going to kind of blend in. He did a great contrast job by putting the blue titanium against that blacked out Zirc. All the way around, it's smooth. It's very, 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 very well made. I can't find a flaw in it. The knife was made to be damn near perfect. Oops. Darn lanyard got in the way. And the one and only error that's on here, and that's not really a big deal, is just when he burned in his maker's mark, it kind of left a little bit of a smudge mark that you can't get rid of. Other than that, I mean, that's not really that big of a deal. The satin on the flats is beautifully done. The satin on the primary bevel is beautifully done. The swedge up top, very precise. Gives you some nice geometry there when the that front grind meets up with it. Nice blade, nice grind intersection there. Same thing on this side. Just did a fantastic job. And this is what happens when you buy from a premier maker. Now the thing is, you would think this would be a tremendously expensive knife, and it really wasn't. I saw the price that it sold for, and the original owner was kind enough to let me know. I did pay more than he paid for it, but that was my choice to do so. I wanted to make it worth his while to, you know, to get it out of his collection, and it worked out very, very well. I got to tell you, if you get a chance, if you meet Les at a show and he's brought knives, pick him up, check him out, and buy one. You're buying from one of the best names in the industry. And I realize right now there's a lot of idiots talking shit about Les because of a falling out he had on one particular forum. And, you know, he was bothered by the way he was treated. He kind of went off the rails a little bit. I think maybe if he had it to do over again, he might execute it just a little bit differently, but I don't know. But a lot of people started talking a lot of shit when he left that forum. And, you know, that's neither here nor there for me. I could give a shit if a maker gets along with people on a knife forum or not. That doesn't dictate the quality of their work. He's been doing this for 20 years. He's built an amazing reputation for quality and for customer service. And like I said, for being a hell of a nice guy from what I've been told. So I could give two shits about that. But, you know, don't listen to everybody out there. Form your own opinions. I'm not even saying listen to me, you know, wholeheartedly. Take what I'm saying, take what they're saying, handle one of his knives and form your own opinion. And I think that you're going to be rather blown away. This is a knife that I would put easily in the top 10 or so in my collection as far as the construction quality, the fit and finish, the materials being used, the smoothness of its action, and the precision in which he made this. It is truly, truly incredible to look at. Feels wonderful in the hand. Like I said, the only issue is just how slick it is. And you know, you're going to pull this out, it wants to slide this way, and then when you've got it in your hand, it's almost like it just wants to slide right out. So you have to give it a little bit more of a sure grip when you're holding it, but other than that, that's really about it. So there you go, guys. Just kind of a quick look, not one of my usual 20-25 minute videos, but I did want to make sure I got this done and people got a chance to see the beauty of it. I will do some quick close-ups here and get an understanding for just how amazing his work really is. I don't know if his books are open or not. Unfortunately, I can't tell you that, but I would definitely check him out on his Facebook page. Check out his Instagram, which is Lesvor, Lesvor, on Instagram. He doesn't post a lot on Instagram, but I think he's going to be increasing his presence there because everybody is very quickly realizing that is the place to be. If you want to be involved in the knife community, you want to do that on Instagram for sure. That is just flawless, isn't it? The finish work, the anodizing, the satin, the fit of all the components, just incredible all the way around. So Les, thank you for creating such an incredible beauty, and such a beast of a knife. The Model 15 is a big ass knife. He does make a lot of various different models. Do check them out on his website, and I guarantee you're going to find something that's going to fit whatever your needs are. But Les, thank you for making such an incredible work of EDC art as I look at it. And hopefully I'll get a chance in the future to buy some more. This is one that, like I said, I've been torn. I've wanted to sell it because I'm the kind of person, if I'm not going to carry it for whatever reason, there's no reason to keep it. But I did go ahead and throw it in the pocket the other day, and I didn't have any issue. I mean, I only had to pull it out a couple of times, and that was more to fondle it and admire it and take pictures of it than anything else. But now that I've kind of put it in my mind, grip it more firmly than you do your other knives, and I'm a little bit more conscious of how slippery it is. Oh, excuse me, I got a bit of the hiccups here. I think I'm fine with it now. So I don't think this one's going to be leaving my collection anytime soon. And the person that was trying to get it from me, he kept offering me dollar upon dollar upon dollar to tempt me into selling it. And at the end, I just went, you know what, dude, that's awesome. You know, I told you what I paid for it. You know that you'd be paying me more than that, and I get that, and I appreciate that. But I honestly think the day I box it up, I'd already miss it. There's just something that draws me to this damn knife. So I'm glad I said no to that initial offer. And I will be putting this in the pocket a little bit more often, getting more used to it. But I think in the future I'm going to order probably another one, maybe without smooth zirconium though, and see if that carries a little bit better. All right, guys, I'm out of here for now. Thank you so much for watching as always, and I'll see you on the next video.